Daymare 1994 Sandcastles Demolition Woman Trophy unlocked for beating the game with an S rank, and this is done by beating the game on hardcore mode in under 4 hours and with 0 deaths, which does sound horrible, but considering you can unlock infinite ammo for the frost and machine gun, which you can then use on your hardcore run, it's fairly easy to speed through the game within that time limit, so long as you know where you're going. So, while time isn't really a factor that you need to worry about for this trophy, getting through the entire game without dying is most definitely going to be an issue, as deaths register immediately on your save game file, so one mistake and your run could easily be ruined. So it's definitely wise to go for this trophy on your second or third run of the game, and it's an even better idea to unlock those infinite ammo for the frost and machine gun first, as with those tricky areas like the prison cell section of the game can become a breeze. And honestly, I was really enjoying this infinite ammo run on hardcore. Well, that was until I got to this point in the game, an area where I had struggled to get past it on my first playthrough, but this time, even though the enemies are stronger on this mode, I have infinite ammo. But you see, there's a particular enemy type waiting for me down this hole in the room that's going to make getting past this area, even with infinite ammo on hardcore, an absolute pain. So as soon as you drop down into the room, you'll find that it's empty with no enemies in sight, so you'll just think it's a normal room that you're just progressing through, but far from it, because as you walk down to one end of the room after grabbing the ammo, you will trigger what I think is the worst and most BS fight in the entire game, as this is a fight that can go from 1 to 100 in seconds if you don't act right away and start shooting that first sparker enemy that appears. You see, this is a battle that requires you to be fast, accurate and lucky with the RNG nature of enemy spawns, and this sparker enemy right here is the sole reason this fight is so annoyingly BS, as it will shoot electricity at these eggs that are in the room in order to hatch more sparker enemies, and this enemy type is one that can kill you instantly the moment they grab you, so the last thing you want in this small cramped room is a load of these sparker enemies that can easily kill you. Of course. How many are around, man? I'm literally... That room's just full. After shooting the sparker a couple of times, you'll interrupt the attack, and then they'll disappear, and after a few seconds they will reappear somewhere else in the room, beside another egg, and attempt to hatch that one to spawn another sparker enemy, and in total I think there's around 5 eggs in this room that they can hatch. And to cause you further frustration, these sparkers teleport is actually random every time, so you are never sure as to where they will reappear in the room. Sometimes the sparker will appear right on top of you, which will likely kill you instantly before you even know they're there. Other times the sparker will appear at the very back of the room, in which case you likely won't be able to interrupt him in time before he frees another sparker. Then, in other runs, he'd reappear at the very first spawn, which would always catch me off guard, as it would take me too long to realise that he's actually behind me, and by that point, he would have spawned another enemy almost immediately. Great. And that there is the problem, because the more of his friends that he frees, the less likely you are to succeed, as things will just get worse and worse really fast once there's more than one of these sparker enemies in the area. Because one of the sparkers will just chase after you, while the other sparker will just try and hatch more eggs, and then before you know it, there'll be 3 or 4 or even 5 of these sparkers all chasing after you, at which point you may as well just restart before they one-hit kill you with their grab and ruin your S rank. What makes the Sparker enemy even more annoying to fight is just how bullet spongy they are and how much damage they can take before you interrupt their electricity attack, as they need about 3 shotgun blasts before they stop their electricity beam, and it practically takes a whole 30 to 40 round clip of the machine gun to interrupt them as well. So you've got to be really fast and really lucky with the spawn locations to be able to get him in time to prevent other Sparkers from hatching for as long as possible during this fight if you're to have any chance of making it through it. And to make matters even more BS, as soon as you interrupt that very first Sparker for the first time, 2 zombie enemies will also teleport into the area, and these will need to be dealt with quickly so that you can then chase after the Sparker without these zombies grabbing you and slowing you down. And these zombie enemies will spawn in groups of 2 several times throughout this fight, and it was always at the worst opportunities just to make my run a fail. And while you'll never likely die directly from them, if these zombies grab you, it's probably game over anyway, as the Sparker would have likely freed another one of its pals by the time you've broken free, which will just ruin your run anyway. This room is honestly terrible. It's by far the worst part of the game, as it's just so unfair and it just expects so much from you. One slight mistake or hesitation, looking the wrong way and having to readjust, and you won't stop that creature in time, and then you'll have to deal with another and probably another Sparker as you desperately try and move around the room to stop more from reappearing, only to then get grabbed out of nowhere and be one-hit killed by a Sparker despite you pumping in so much ammo into all of them.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
It took me countless attempts to get past this on my normal difficulty run, and it took even longer on this hardcore run, even with the infinite ammo for the frost gun and the machine gun. I just think this room is just awfully unbalanced, and it's a real BS part of the game, and this tiny dark room could very easily end your run and prevent you from getting the platinum trophy, because it's just so frustrating and it just feels so cheap and unfair when you get killed by one of those Sparkers, or when you see one get hatched despite you just pumping in a load of bullets to the enemy. This Sparker enemy in general is just BS in my opinion, and every time they appeared throughout the game, I just really hated those fights and would just roll my eyes every time I saw a Sparker, as it just becomes an absolute chore to kill them and an absolute pain to suffer through all of its BS if it manages to spawn in more enemies or just grab you instantly and kill you. It's a stupid move to give to what is essentially just a standard enemy type. I mean, even the final boss can't do that to me. And it's the final boss, for God's sake. I mean, look, when that grabs you, you just break free. Yet when this low-level enemy grabs me, I just die instantly. There's no quick time event or a chance to break free if you have like a knife item or something. Nope, it just kills you instantly, and that just sucks. And this enemy and this room in particular just really soured my experience with what is otherwise a really good Resident Evil 2 remake clone, and made this Demolition Woman trophy for getting an S rank on hardcore difficulty even more frustrating. And if there wasn't that save game trick where you make a save in multiple slots at the same place to prevent the deaths from being counted on your save file, then I'm honestly not sure if I would have ever gotten past this bit or had the patience to keep trying runs and failing here. So the Sparker enemy, this horrible room, and this annoying hardcore Demolition Woman S rank trophy get a combined BS trophy rating of